Hey, friends, thank you so much for being here with another episode of the Peopling Podcast. My name is Kristi. I'm your host, and it is a great honor to be able to introduce our VIP guest for this week. It is my new friend, Catherine McClure. She comes to us from England.
Oh,
She's an online coach. She has a wellness company. She's going to talk to us about mindset and all sorts of other things. So, let me give you a quick story about how Catherine and I had been introduced. Many years ago, I was introduced to who is now a dear friend of mine named Ray from across the pond. He and I were both in the same networking group, an international networking group, and he became a mentor and quickly turned into a friend. He's still somebody that I adore and cherish in my life. And he reached out to me a little while ago and said, "You need to know Catherine." And boy, was he right. Those are my favorite kinds of relationships when it's built in through somebody that's already a trusted friend that says, you two need to meet and know each other. And I'm so glad that he did that. So now I get to share with you my new friend, Catherine. She's going to share all about what she's up to and how we can be better humans, peopling in the world these days. So help me welcome Catherine. Hi.
hello. Thank you for having me.
So glad, even though we are in different time zones, we're still on the same day. Sometimes that won't happen, but at the time of this recording, we are. So thank you so much for carving out some time this evening with us. And why don't you just take a few minutes, unpack a little bit about who you are, where you've come from, and let us just kind of get brought into your story about who you are in the world today.
Okay, where do I start? So I was raised in a little town called Chester. It's a very traditional English town. I had the most perfect upbringing, and then I grew up, flew the nest, and I ended up following a legal path. So I was always going to be a lawyer, or you guys call it an attorney, right?
Attorney or lawyer, I think you say solicitor.
Solicitor, yes. So that's a path that I was on, and I actually got into quite an awful relationship. And through that, coming out the other side of it, it was very toxic, very abusive. And coming out of the other side of that, my mum kind of forced me into the gym. So my mum has always been super active. She's always had a really good relationship with food. We used to do these videos when I was like 3 years old called Mr. Motivator. And we would be doing the workout DVDs or videos back then in the 90s, me and my mum, and she's really been a massive inspiration. So yeah, when I left this abusive relationship, she was like, "Come on, you need to get into the gym." So that is exactly what I did. And I fell in love with the way that it made me feel, feeling strong, building up my confidence. And from that, I just really built. I realized that the corporate path was not for me. I actually used to work for a company as well, and we had branches in the US. So I see how hard you guys work. And from that, I was like, no, there is a way I can help you so much. There is so many easy fixes. So I started looking into nutrition more and the benefits of working out, even just a little bit of movement. And then it really culminated when I cared for my granddad shortly before he passed in 2020. And he had COPD, uh, prostate cancer, and dementia. And I knew that I could make his quality of life just that little bit better for his final days. And he went from being with the nutrition that I studied, he went from being on a 30-second memory loop and repeating himself constantly to actually being able to laugh and joke with us. He knew who we were, and that was through the power of diet. So I really realized that I could help a lot of people. And that's why I left the corporate world and came to help people.
Love that. So, what is your specialty now, and why is it important at this time in your life to lead people that way?
My specialty is probably with female transformations, and I work really, really well with women who, like me, they've been through abusive relationships. They're struggling with their confidence. I've also got ADHD. I've got combined type. So people say it's the ring of fire because you've got the inattentiveness and the hyperactivity, and which comes with its own host of trials and tribulations, let's say. And so I really connect with women who are neurodiverse and who are looking to build their confidence for longevity. They're looking to live longer, live healthier without all of these restrictions, clickbait, everything that's online. They just want to know how to be healthy. and that's where I come in. That's where I can help them. So I do a lot of mindset work with my clients. So I take a very holistic approach with strength training, nutrition, but predominantly we work on mindset before we work on everything else, because otherwise working out, eating well, it becomes a sticking plaster, and plasters, well, do you guys call them plasters?
We don't call it plaster, but I understand what you mean.
A band-aid.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
they peel off
Yeah.
and they reveal the wound underneath. So I work on the mindset first, and then we start building in the movement. And that's why we get the transformation mentally and physically.
When you're in a bad relationship, doesn't it seep into everything else in your life, right? It seeps into how we show up to work or to our other relationships, like our friends and our family, and then how we also see ourselves in the mirror. So if if we're caught in that bad relationship, which to our listeners, your life partner is probably the most important decision and choice you can make in your life.
Yeah.
It matters that much. Be very careful with that one. When you find yourself on the other side of a relationship, everything hurts. Your feelings hurt, your heart hurts, your mind hurts. You're probably exhausted and feeling lousy. And a lot of times that shows up in our inactivity, our eating, our binging of food or those kinds of things. When I'm not happy, I eat my feelings. And I'm sure I'm not alone in that. And so your mom said, "No, girlfriend, you're going to go to the gym and you're going to get yourself into a better, healthier space." And I love your mom for that. Because of
I
that,
love them.
yes, and because of that, now this whole new world has been opened up to you
Yeah.
and may not have come across your path at this much needed time. Who knows how long it would have taken for you to fall in love with health and wellness. And so help us to better so you're over here talking about that. I'm over here with my own stories about the gym and wellness. About an hour before talking with you, I was like, you know what? I have a 5:45 class this evening at the gym and it's cold. Baby, it's cold outside. And I
Well, I've heard that I've got a lot of US clients, and I've got ones in Louisiana, and they're being snowed in at the minute. And is this unheard of?
This is the craziest storm we've had in a very, very long time. A lot of times up north, there's something called a nor'easter, and it's usually the northeast part of the United States get just plummeted and hit really hard with a lot of snow. And so they might be snowed in for days. Well, this storm system has kind of just flushed across the entire country right now. And I'm not equipped for cold. I am not built for this. So I'm finding all these ways to talk myself out of going to the gym. So I don't have that love and desire and relationship that you do, but at the other side of it, I'm over here going, I don't like my weight. I don't like how I'm showing up. It's affecting my confidence, right? So can you help us a little bit? Because I know you had just mentioned a few moments ago, mindset has so much to do with that. So on the health and wellness side of your coaching, yeah, you can help us have that regimen and that plan, but like I'm confessing to you right now, there's this big mental barrier of like, it, it, I've got these stories, and it's not fun. So take it away.
Oh, would you say you've lost your motivation?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what happens to a lot of people. And usually I will say motivation will get you started, it's discipline that will get you going. However, if you've lost your motivation, you've generally forgotten your why. So this is what I do a lot with my clients is, why do you want to do this thing? What are the how is this going to benefit your life? And you don't just ask yourself why once, because the why once will be superficial. It'll be, oh, I want to be in shape. No, but why? But why do you want to be in shape? What will that mean for your life? And you have to go back quite a few times. And it's quite a lot of inner work, and it takes a lot of deep reflection. And usually we can get to really the crux of it. And a lot of people will say, I've struggled with eating my whole life. I want to have that relationship with food where I can take it or leave it. Uh, or they'll say that they've had a lot of insecurity since childhood, for example. And it's like, okay, well, now we know your why. I'll remind you of it every single time that you are struggling with your motivation. You're giving yourself excuses. It's like, why would you not want to do this one thing when you're telling me that you're struggling with all of these other things? So, for example, if it was quitting smoking, okay, so if you continue smoking, you're probably going to get lung cancer. You're going to not be here for as long with your family. You're going to struggle with sports. You're going to have, you're going to smell. You're going to have bad teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you wasting your money? So why would you not want to quit so that you can have the absolute opposite of that just because it's a little bit difficult? And usually when I say that and I really go into it and it takes a couple sometimes it takes a couple of weeks of working through this with people, they can really start to show because they're like, I know my reason. And as humans, we're very logical and we need to understand reasoning. Women can be we are emotional creatures, but we still need to know the logic behind everything. And I think when people know the logic, they're able to show up for themselves. And it's like you're filling up your own cup. Because as women as well, we fill up everybody else's cup and then there's no energy left for us. So it's about showing up for yourself.
Before we dive any deeper into this conversation, I want to take a quick moment to share a tool that has significantly improved my life, and that's called Growth Day. It's like having world-class mentors right in your pocket. There are daily challenges that help grow your confidence, your inspiration, and your drive. Check out the show notes for your link to a free trial, and don't let another moment pass you by without checking out Growth Day.
So then once you know your why, you're able to think, okay, well, who is the person that I want to become? And you write a list of actions of the person that you want to become. What would this person do? Well, this person would go to the gym despite the snowstorm, despite the cold weather. Okay, well, that's what you're going to do. You step into the identity of the person that you want to become. It'll take a little bit of time, but the outside world will catch up. You have to do the mental shift first, and then that outside, you will become that person. It will become your identity.
I love that. It's like everything happens twice, right? Like it happens in our thoughts or imagination, in our visualization, whatever that is, and then in action. And so I appreciate that because I already feel more motivated. Suck it up, Buttercup. Put on the warm yoga pants and get your butt in the car, right? What do you think are some of the bigger barriers in our mindset? And maybe we're speaking directly to women at the moment, but you've got this audience of people who are listening in, and we've all got our own struggles, right? We've all got our own past beliefs, limiting beliefs. I hear what you're saying about who I want to be, but this is where I'm at right now. Like, what are some of those upgrades or shifts that you can share with us at this moment where I can start living as if I'm that person I'm becoming?
Okay, so first of all, it's the way that we speak to ourselves. We have, especially as women, we hold a lot of every single negative comment or perceived negative interaction. We hold that really deeply in our core. We feel like we have to show up and be this happy person, and then it takes its toll on us. Um, and then if you think about, would you speak to your best friend like this? The answer is most likely no. And we are our own worst enemy, harshest critic. So the first thing to do is to start being kinder to yourself. So I have a lot of clients who come to me and they say, I'm fat, I'm lazy, I'm this, I'm that. And I'm like, if you if you speak to yourself and you tell yourself you're that, it will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Whereas if you use kinder words to yourself and kind of look at the things that you're grateful for that your body can do, or you're grateful for your mind. So I always ask people to write a list of 5 great things that they're grateful for. Then they start viewing themselves in a much better light. And, I had a lady and she hated her body. And I reminded her that her body had grown these 2 beautiful children that she absolutely adores. And isn't that just incredible? And that shifted the way that she looked at her body. So if we speak to ourselves how we would speak to our best friend, then we can start showing up a little bit better. And then in terms of the present language that we use about, I hope that I'll get my run in this week. I hope that I'll make it to the gym. I'll try and eat better. If we change that, because our subconscious is so powerful, and I think a lot of people underestimate just how powerful our subconscious is. If we shift our word into, I will eat better this week. I will go to the gym on this time, on this date, at this time, then the chances are we will do it because our actions will start to line up because we've already told our mind that we're doing it. So we will follow through. And then when we follow through, we build trust and confidence in ourselves and our ability to do the things that we set out to do. And that in turn then leads into us speaking more kindly to ourselves.
I love everything about that. It's this whole big cycle, right? And we're the ones that are in charge of it. But when we let ourselves off the hook, or if we say, "Hey, I'm going to do this," or "I hope to do this," and then we don't do it, right? We're just kind of setting ourselves up for these little disappointments.
Yeah, and then it feeds into the way that we talk, and it's like, "Oh, I can't set myself a goal because I can't do it."
Exactly. And it builds up from there and just multiplies those negative thoughts about ourselves rather than saying, "I'm going to be at the gym at 5:45 tonight for my class."
Yes, you are.
And then showing up, right? Because every time I leave, I feel so much better, right? My serotonin is raised, the endorphins are flying around, I feel sweaty, and I've accomplished something.
It's the accomplishment.
That's
It is
right.
always the accomplishment that people are proud of, and that's what gets the endorphins going even more. It's the fact that we've ticked off something that we want to do.
Yeah, and we can do hard things. But why is it so difficult to get that momentum going? What is it about life that allows us to just kind of be stuck in it for a moment, even though that's not really where we want to be? Because I can see myself on the other side. I've got those pounds dropped, my body's toner, I'm sleeping better, I'm healthier, I'm making better choices. I've got those accomplishments and wins happening in my life. Like I can see that. But over here, I'm going, but it's cold.
It's that self-sabotage. It's because we have you ever has anything ever happened to you which has been absolutely great, and then the next day you're absolutely flawed? Say, a new job opportunity or, um, just any kind of opportunity has come to you, a period of growth, and then the next day you're so exhausted that you can't get out of bed. Has that ever happened?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's because our brain likes to sit in what's comfortable and what we know. So when that happens and when we are trying to change the narrative, then our brain goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, no, 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 that's not comfortable. Let's pull it back. Let's do what we're comfortable." And so that might be you told yourself that you're not a gym goer, so going to the gym is uncomfortable. So your brain goes, "No, let's pull you back. Let's sit in this. We know this. This is familiar territory." Whereas going to the gym and becoming this new person, it's not familiar. So I call it the stretch period. So when you're stretching, it's really uncomfortable and you just have to keep going through it. And you keep fighting because then on the other side of the stretch comes the growth. And it's most people can't sit in the stretch because it feels uncomfortable and they can't see that actually this is why. And it's because I'm changing and the growth is coming.
That is I love that. So why is it that we have this default level of comfort? So the stretch period then helps you get through that. Is it kind of a guaranteed leap after a certain point or what do you see most people going through? Is it a gradual process? Do you plateau? Like what do you find that a lot of people do once you get
So
started?
what I find in a lot of ladies is they struggle, they struggle, they struggle, and then it clicks. And it's like they just step into this and it will be in the space of a week. And I'm like, "Whoa, what's happened to you?" And it'll just all the cogs will just go click, 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 click into place, and they are just this new person. And they look back at how far that they've come, and they get that moment of pride. And I had it today actually with a lady, and she said to me, "Everything's just clicked into place. My husband can see how confident I am. I'm doing things that I'm stepping out of my comfort zone because going to the gym initially was uncomfortable, and I did that." So this week, she said this week she went on a work conference away, which she would never do on her own. But because she showed up for herself in the gym and she knew she could do it, she knew she could go to this work conference on her own. So yeah, it's, I would say it is almost an overnight switch in somebody once they've struggled, struggled, struggled. And then it's like, whoa, we've got it.
Isn't that wild? And then it starts showing up and seeping into these other parts of our lives, right? As she's gaining confidence in the gym and now she's gaining confidence in her industry and her workplace. Is there a favorite story or favorite takeaway or situation that you would use as your benchmark? Like this is my favorite thing that I was able to help somebody in their journey to accomplish. Is there one story that stands out to you in particular?
Yes, absolutely. And as soon as she said, "Is there one story?" I was like, yes, this
Yeah.
client. So this one was a lot more personal for me because I used to work with this lady. She's a woman. I see her as a girl because I've known her for years, but she's a woman, and she was getting married last year. And she came to me because she'd been to 3 different coaches, and she said, "Kath, I really need help. I don't want to be a fat bride." Mum had to. I don't know if you have it in the US, but we have something called Slimming World here, which is essentially it's a club where people go and stand on a scale in front of each other. And I I don't know if I should say this, but I don't agree with it because it's kind of like shaming people if they haven't lost weight. In front of each other, and it's a weird restricted diet, and I don't really understand how it's calculated. Well, I do know how it's calculated based off who sponsors them, but
We have something similar, it's called Weight Watchers, and they'll do these point
we have Weight
systems,
Watchers.
and, like,
Right, yeah,
processed little foods is worth 1 point and an apple is worth 1 point, but our bodies process it very differently, right? So something that's processed and put in a package doesn't bring the same nutrition as an apple. So the scoring system's all weird, and then, yes, it's intended to be like an encouragement thing, but if you put on 2 pounds, how shaming
yeah.
that could feel. So I absolutely understand what you mean, yes.
Yeah. So she was taken to her first Slimming World Club when she was 16 years old by her mum because her mum didn't know how to lose weight either. They've both struggled with their weight, and her mum then became a client as well. And then her mum bought her the Manjaro. I think you guys call it as it's Ozempic. It's like Ozempic.
Yes.
She was given Manjaro. She still couldn't lose weight. She'd been to a couple of coaches, and I had to do a lot of work with her, but I was persistent and I knew that I would get the breakthrough with her. And then literally overnight, she said, "Kath, I know what I'm doing. I can do this. I can do this." And I can send you the transformation. She looks absolutely incredible. And I could cry talking about it because of how much I knew it meant to her. And yeah, she sent me videos of herself crying that she thought she was going to be a fat bride and now she wasn't. And she looked absolutely gorgeous at her wedding. And that is the biggest thing for me because for somebody to have struggled so much and have turned to so many people as well to help and been failed by people, been failed by something that was a club that was supposed to help her lose weight and has broken her confidence down and had her in this constant binge restrict cycle. And I had to break through a lot of self-limiting beliefs, a lot of habits. So she would eat a takeaway on, say, a Wednesday or a Thursday night. And then she would go, "Well, that's it. I'm going to have to restart on Monday." So I had to switch the restart on Monday mentality as well. But we did it. And she, she's just, she's just continued to grow as a person. She then qualified as a solicitor. And yeah, her whole life is just, she can do everything now.
What's really significant what you said here is, she tried all of these different services and products, right? She tried the Slimming Club, she tried the Mounjaro or Ozempic as we know it, and those things didn't work for her. And I feel like a lot of us present, company here included, are looking for that magic pill. But you're over here saying there's not a magic pill, but there is a mental breakthrough, right?
Yes.
There's a mindset shift that needs to happen. And then once you have that breakthrough, it shows up in your health, it shows up in your career, it shows up in your wealth, it shows up in your relationships. Like it's not just this one thing with your health. So you don't call yourself a health coach. You are a coach, but your specialty isn't just health. It's so much more than that. So do you start off with the mindset shifts before you ever get into nutrition and working out, or do they all compile and happen together?
No, so, like, with this client's mom, we started off with just walking. She just had to go for a walk. And we started off I didn't overwhelm her with diet, but it's kind of building in a little bit of education around diet and, making some simple swaps. And just really educating her on what a balanced diet was because she didn't know. She said, "I've heard the term balanced diet, but I don't know what it is." She didn't know it was a balance of protein, fats, and carbs, or that carbs weren't the enemy. So yeah, there's no magic pill, but this is what I think people struggle with is in our society today, we're not used to delayed gratification. We need it now. And if it's not now, we're giving up. and then we're going to end up in a worse situation. Whereas when you actually put the investment into yourself and you do start working on the mindset, and then we filter in the nutrition and then the movement. Yeah, this lady, we went from walking, and she started loving walking, and she was going on all these weekend walks. And then we started with 15 minutes home workouts. And I said, as soon as 15 minutes ends, you stop. Even if your workout isn't finished, I just want you to stop. And it's building in the habits which relate to the mindset of I can do this and I really enjoy it, rather than it feeling like a chore, because I never want health, fitness, anything like that to feel like a chore to someone. I want to show people how to love it the same way I do, because like you say, it filters into every aspect of your life. When you are showing up for yourself. I actually said to a lawyer the other day, a solicitor, he was a partner. I said to him, if you can't afford to go for a walk on your lunch break or to have a break through the day, you can't not afford to, because of the mental clarity and just space that you get from it. So yeah, it all feeds into one another, but we start small. It depends on the person. I meet them where they are.
That is significant and incredible. I'm listening to you, and I think, I'm thinking about all of the women that I know in my life, my mom, my sisters, my best friends, my colleagues. And man, I'm surrounded by some powerful and fierce women. And there's a lot of women that don't know that about themselves. They want to, right? They want to see themselves that way, and they are absolutely equipped underneath that pile of lies or limiting beliefs. And when I listen to you, I can just imagine the I don't know, the depth of your work has to just feel like somebody's coming out of a big pile of just crap and lies, a lifetime full of lies that we've either been fed or have told ourselves. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden you get rid of that and you're like, okay, not only am I healthy physically, I'm healthy up here. I'm making motions and movements in my life that's just shifting everything. And the sooner we start, just like anything, right? The sooner we start, the bigger the impact we can have in our life and in the world. This is really amazing. Anything else that we can talk about on mindset shift before we kind of shift gears? Sometimes the relationships we listen to other people, but those other people might mean well.
Yeah, and to be fair, I have had a lot of clients who have been like, "Oh, well, my husband won't watch the kids. My husband won't eat this food."
Okay, so let's talk about that. All right. So, Catherine, we've got a lot of people who are going to be listening, and they've got other people in their lives that depend on them, right? They've got significant others, they've got kiddos. Maybe they're responsible for their adult, for their parents, caretaking for them. What happens when there are I want to try to say this delicately, distractions or other opinions that might get in the way of, I can't watch the kids while you go and work out, or I'm not going to eat that meal along with you. How does somebody maneuver through that and get everybody else on board?
But one thing that I would first off start by saying is women spread themselves so thin. And one thing that my mum has always ingrained into me is, you know how the oxygen masks drop out of the ceiling from a plane?
Yeah.
And they say to you to put on your own oxygen mask before you help anyone else, because otherwise you're no good to anyone else. My mum has always taught me that. And she's always said, look after yourself before you look after anybody else, because otherwise you're no good to them. And as women, we struggle with being selfish, but sometimes we have to be selfish to show up for other people, to show up as our best self. There's also the saying, happy wife, happy life. So men's lives would be so much happier if their woman was a little bit selfish. But we have to learn to kind of take up space for ourselves and to fill our own cup up, because we spend so much time looking after everybody else. That's just our nature. But actually, when we just take that 10 minutes, that half an hour for ourselves each day, we can show up so much stronger for the other people in our lives. And I have had it where my clients have said, or I've had single mums, and I really feel for them, because that must be the hardest situation where they've got nobody to look after their kids. You can also get your kids involved like my mum did. She wasn't a single mum because my dad was around. My dad, they're still together. However, my dad always worked away. So she raised me and my sister kind of single-handedly, with my dad just there at the weekends. So she would do her exercises with us in the room, Mr. Motivator. And then, so I suggested this to my clients, and they've also had the blockers of, well, my husband won't eat this. And I say, he can make his own dinner. My auntie is exactly the same. She'll say, "I can't make this because your uncle won't eat it." And I said, well, he is more than capable of making his own dinner. If he's that ungrateful that he'll turn away the dinner that's made for him, he can make it himself, because that's what my mum and my auntie, they're like night and day. They're sisters, but they are night and day. And then I've had it as well before where one of my clients said, "Well, I couldn't make it to the gym because my husband wanted to paint the fence." And honestly, it's when you said about being so careful about who you choose as your partner, like, if your husband wants you to show up better for them, and sometimes it takes a conversation of, "Look, I wanna do this for me, but it's gonna help me show up better in my relationship with you. I'm gonna be more present if I can just have this little bit of time for me." And sometimes it's about communicating. But what I would say is these barriers, these obstacles, it's very easy to go, "Okay, well, this is just my life." But actually, where you're going to find strength and where your life is actually going to be better and everyone else is going to be better is if you say, "No, you can watch the kids while you paint the fence. No, I'm going to eat this. And if you don't like it, make your own dinner." Because then you're able to show up and you're just feeling that more, you're happier, you're supported, you're more confident.
That's extraordinary. It's not conflict. It's just standing up or speaking for yourself, you know? I love that. It's probably outside of a lot of people's comfort zone and may not land well for everybody, and that's okay. But I think the biggest takeaway is find your voice and share what it is from your heart of what's important to you. A lot of times if we don't express like, "Hey, I'm not feeling my best because I've got 15 pounds around my waist that has me squeezing into my jeans and not feeling like I'm showing up in my best version of myself. So I'm really committed to dropping that, but I'm going to need some help with this. And so this is how I see it going down. Are you in?" You know, it doesn't have to be conflict. It doesn't have to be so direct if that's not your default.
And like I said, humans, we're logical people. So if you just explain in however, and I do say this to my clients, I say, phrase it in a way that's natural for you and your relationship, but make sure that you're actually explaining why, because a lot of the time we'll say, "I just want to do this." And then it's like, "Well, no, because I'm doing this. I don't want to eat this." Well, and if we just meet in the middle and say, "I really want to do this one thing because this goal means a lot to me, and it would really mean a lot if you supported me, and I'd really appreciate you doing that." It's massaging the male ego a little bit, which they like. That's the way, that's the key to negotiate with a man. But yeah, it's just that communication and explaining the whys. So men, especially, the logical brain will go, "Ah, I see she's not just being selfish and trying to get in my way, and there's actually a reason for this."
Yes, yes. You gotta know the takeaway and that driver, that important why. Sometimes we just tell people instead of discussing. So I love how you're unpacking that for us, and that way you get a fan club too. Somebody else is cheering you on, like, "Hey, aren't you supposed to be at the gym here shortly?" "Yeah, well, it's cold outside." "No, get your gym shoes on and let's go, get on out of here. You're committed to this." So you could get a fan club going along with you too. When people understand what's driving you, that motivation then can have a little fuel put behind it.
It goes the same for friendships as well. Like, a lot of people will maybe not want to tell their friends that they're on a weight loss journey because they'll feel like they're judged, or they won't want to say, "Oh, I'm not eating that," because they'll get told, "Oh, you only live once." But actually, when you explain to somebody how important this goal is for you, and then it's just temporary, because no diet phase or anything like that should be prolonged. I say get in, get out. And when you explain that to people, whether it's your friends, whether it's your parents, your siblings, your partner, people will then understand and go, "Okay, I want to support you."
I enjoy that. We have not necessarily accountability partners because accountability feels like, "Oh, you're going to call me out if I do something wrong." But it's somebody who's coming alongside you and cheering you along and wishing your success. I think that's what's most important. And isn't that what peopling is about, right? If we truly want to connect and love each other well and show up as our best version of ourselves, the expression of what's important to us is a really big driver on getting people to side with you and to be excited with you. So I love
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
Catherine, we're coming to the time where it's towards the end of our time together, and that makes my heart a little sad because I very much enjoy talking to you and learning from you. But let's talk about the Be the Change challenge. So, we want to be the change in the world that we want to see and experience. So, what is one actionable thing that you would encourage our listeners to do right now to change their life and the way that they show up in it to better connect?
So the challenge is put your phone down. So whether that's going out for a walk and leaving your headphones out and actually listening to the sounds of nature, or taking your partner with you for a walk and talking to them, or your children, going to the gym and not scrolling on Instagram, having a meal and not going on your phone, it just allows you to be so much more present and actually see what's going on.
How amazing is that to actually pay attention to the bites that we're putting into our mouth, the taste, the flavors, going on a walk and listening to nature? It really does bring us back to the grounded part of what we're all about. And I've got to share this with you. My partner, Andrew, and I, we've been going on walks, and sometimes it has to be first thing in the morning because the evening's packed. I'm not as talkative in the morning. My brain's not awake quite yet. But if we walk at the end of the day, it has become my favorite time of the day because it's our time to connect. Sometimes we'll stop working and end our workday, and next thing, you call it the telly goes on, right? And
Kelly,
we get lost in our shows instead of getting lost in conversation. And it's just been so rewarding, and it fills my heart that we've got this time to talk. And sometimes we don't talk at all. Sometimes we're just walking for a few minutes, just like what you were saying, just appreciating how perfect the sky looks or how beautiful the sunset is about to be in that golden hour. So I love that you said that.
not only that, but it's you can share that with the people who are passing by as well. So I'm from a little village and we anybody who passed us, we would say, "Hello, good morning." People don't do that because they're on their phone. And it's like in the gym as well, people don't smile at each other because they're on the phone in between sets. So you get the connection with each other, but also you're getting a connection with new people.
I love that. And who doesn't need more of that in their lives, just to smile and say hello, connect heart to heart for just a minute and move on with your life. It's special. It'll start filling up your cup, even if you don't know that that's what's happening. Well,
Yeah.
I want to make sure that our audience knows to check out the show notes because we've got ways that you can connect with Catherine. She may be on the other side of the pond, but she's able to connect with you virtually. So if you like what she's up to and think that there might be an opportunity for you to explore some breakthroughs in your life, it'd be my honor for you to connect with her. And who knows, she may change your life in such powerful ways that you're going to be the one that says, I look back at who I used to be and I don't even recognize that woman anymore. I'm so excited about where I am. Catherine, thank you so much for sharing your very valuable time, your insight, and it's just been a precious time together with you. So thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
Awesome, very good. And until next time, my friends.
Thanks for tuning in to the Peopling Podcast, and grab your copy of the Peopling book on Amazon, and let's keep this connection movement going. Until next time, be curious, be kind, and keep peopling like you mean it.